Welcome. It's Thursday. It's Wednesday. God, I don't even know what day it is, but welcome to the Melanated Way. I am Linda Antwi. Shout out to the live chat. Oh, look, what day is it? It's Thursday. Happy Thursday. Shout out to Connie and Joslo and Raydella and Natata and all the things. Thank you for waiting on me a little bit. We are covering Darcey and Stacey. We're catching up on season 4, episode 4 and episode 5. Bottom of the screen, you can see where you can support the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that great stuff. And for those of you who are in Southern California and you're wondering why I have this toucan and I'm running amok, please don't try to take my Canadian card away from me. There's like a polar vortex over here, and all I can say is cold and it is wet and it is not sunny California weather as far as I'm concerned. And I am not impressed. Oh my God, I'm so extra. Let me see if I can fix this back screen business here. Oh yeah, that's way better. Oh no, that's not too good. Oh, that's better. We're going to go with that. How are you guys doing? How was your week so far? Anything exciting happening in your world? Definitely let me know in the live chat. But we're going to jump into shocking news and wedding blues. So Florian and Stacey, okay? Yeah, the weather has been crazy, you guys. There was hail here today. There was snow in SoCal. There was rain. It is like crazy. Y'all can't tell me that global warming is not a real thing, okay? So Florian and Stacey, they're really thinking about their wedding and how they're going to have their wedding, and they're walking down the hot Miami streets, and it's the first time that Florian's trying fresh coconut. And so they buy coconut off a street vendor, and then it got into this weird thing where they both didn't really like fresh coconut, but they didn't want to say they didn't like fresh coconut. So then Stacey talks about how she uses coconut oil, which is a completely different thing, by the way. Yes, it's from the coconut, but it's the water and the oil are separate. But anyways, he starts rubbing it on her. It was like a whole moment. And I was like, this is just, see, you guys are just running out the gate with the nonsense. And I am here for it. So while they're doing that, it's interesting because Stacey was telling Florian about the Darcey drama, right? And the fights that they continue to have. And I remember telling you guys this last week, or the week before last week, whenever it was, but I remember telling you guys how it's Darcey thinks she's better than Stacey, and Stacey feels that way too, because Stacey says, we're equal. She's not above me, but that is how Darcey treats her. And I think it's because Darcey is like the first twin to come out. And I also do think it's because we met Darcey first, you guys. So Darcey and Stacey back in the day, they wanted to be reality TV stars, and they had some reality show. I don't think it went to market or whatever the case may be. But Darcey, we met her first separately, right? On 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days. And then, slowly but surely, she got everyone on, right? So she got her sister on, and then her sister's boyfriend at the time on, her kids on, her whatever man she was dating. But because of Darcey, they're all reality stars, right? So I think that Darcey does think she's a little bit above Stacey because she's the one that made them quote unquote famous. You know what I mean? And so I think that that's why she treats her a little bit like, no, you're not my equal. I brought us to this point, and that's why we're here. But I could be wrong. So Florian is like, yeah, I hear you, but guess what? Darcey's also not happy with herself. And because Darcey also is alone and finds her identity in being a couple, she feels like not complete. And I think that a little bit of that is true as well, you guys. Hey, Justin. So meanwhile, we go back to Darcey's apartment. She's packing for Connecticut. We find out that it's Aspen's Sweet 16 and Aniko's prom. And because everyone's still fighting, they're going to fly back to Connecticut separate. And one of the things that I thought was interesting is the fact that Darcey talked about them being bullied as children. And, we've talked about that a lot on the show. And she says how both her and Stacey were bullied, but specifically Stacey, because Stacey had Villa Lago. like this which she still has, right? Like a piece of her face is a little bit more discolored. But I also put it out there too, is that they're in the middle of Connecticut and no one in their community looked like them, right? And I talk about this often, and I'll continue to say they also were bullied because, they're biracial children, and they didn't have any other biracial children or any other ethnicities to say, hey, you know what? There's diversity in this community. Everyone looked the same. Everyone's blonde hair, blue eyed. And that's why A, they were bullied, and B, why I feel like they both have some identity issues that they haven't dealt with and some childhood trauma that they haven't dealt with. So they get to Connecticut. They all decide that they're going to, take one car, which finally makes sense. And Florian's like, you know what? I don't want any drama. We just need good energy for Aspen's birthday. And so even though Darcey and Stacey's still fighting, they're going to have to suck it up. And they're going to have to put their big girl pants on and act like the adults that they are. Right? So things are awkward between Darcey and Stacey. And so she gets in the car, and you could see Darcey's energy is way off. And Darcey's the one that's always talking about energies, you guys. She's always talking about peace and love and happiness and joy and bringing and manifesting and all the things. And she came in like just stank face. And like in the back of the car, like, it was weird. I was like, oh, Darcey, you're the one that's bringing the bad energy. And then Stacey is sitting there silent, so she's making it more awkward. So it's just awkward. So, that's a weird question, John. So it's not the fact that so let me explain something a little bit for some people. So the father isn't that dark, Joslo. However, melanin can show up in different ways. So the father can be not dark, or the mother can be dark, and then all of a sudden your child is darker than either of you. Like melanin shows up through generations and generations. It doesn't just show up with who you are with immediately. And so I just want everyone to be clear about that. Like even two people full of melanin can have a child that is less full of melanin, if that makes sense to you guys. It's your genetics and your DNA that is made up from generation to generation to generation. So Darcey's like, you know what? She's going to take charge. She's in the back of the car. She's like, you know what? I just need everyone to be cool. And this is family time. And I want to make sure that we're all like good for Aniko and Aspen's birthday. And I was like, well, you're the only one that's really making it awkward, Darcey. Like, you're the one that came in with a super bad attitude. So, hey, Mela, you're new. Welcome. Welcome. So, awkward at the house. And we get to the house, and Darcey's brought a bunch of balloons for for Aspen's Sweet 16, and they're going to have a dinner. And then we see Mike there, and they're all sitting at the table, and it's like super awkward because everyone's being quiet, and Darcey and Stacey are bringing this bad energy in. And so Stacey talks about their business because the dad's like, how's the business going? How's Miami going? All the things. And Stacey starts talking about impossible kicks, and Darcey cuts her off. And then so she gets all snippy, and she's like, can I tell him? Can you stop cutting me off? And the dad's like, you know what? Stop this bullshit. Stop it. You guys sound unprofessional. If you can't talk to each other, it's not going to work. You guys are not going to be able to be business partners. You got to lean on each other because all we have is family. And, he shares that really, it was like a sad story, to be honest, of losing their brother, and how he took like a year off just to spend with his son before his son passed of cancer. And so, to him, it's really important to like have family and believe in family and trust in family, and know that at the end of the day, that's all you have is your family. So I thought that that was a really sweet thing to say. And I'll pop this picture up of Darcey and Stacey with their mom back in the day and their brother, um, because it is important, right? It is important. So he shared that story, and it was really just, it reminded me that, make time for people you want to make time for. And sometimes, for not everyone has like family that is blood related. Sometimes the family is the family that you choose. And at the end of the day, you just have to make time for the people that you love and care about, because, tomorrow's not promised. So that being said, Darcey and Stacey are still fighting. Okay. And they're acting like they've made up, but they haven't really. Like, they're just being really like petty towards each other. And I didn't realize until this season how petty the two of them can be. And they can be really, really petty, you guys. So they tried to make up, though, because of the story that Mike told. And then they have cake and celebrate Aniko's 16. And then Darcey decides that she's going to go out with Rena and Debbie. And we met Rena and Debbie a few seasons ago, right? Her friends who she hadn't talked to in a while, because her friends were really telling her, like, you're in this crazy relationship, and like, why are you with this guy, and what does he bring to the table? And Darcey's like, no, I love him and I want to be with him. And you guys, I'm not convinced that it's over. I'm just telling you this right now. I am not convinced that it's over between her and Georgie. And I'm still predicting that they're going to have a twin wedding, and Darcey's going to jump in on the wedding, and her and Georgie are going to get married. I'm still convinced that that's what's going to happen at the end of this season. I don't know why, but I'm convinced. So Darcey meets her friends for drinks, and she feels good to be home. She says, I love Miami and all the stuff, but Connecticut's always going to be home. And she talks about, in retrospect, how she shouldn't have distanced herself between her friends, because she really feels like she could have listened to them, and she probably would have had less heartbreak, right, if she had listened to them a little bit. And so they're talking to her. They like single Darcey way better. And then, so there's this thing, you guys, and I don't know if you saw it, but I was like, okay, so what's happening here? So it came across to me like Debbie and Rena were drunk. Like they had been sitting there drinking before they started filming. And then finally Darcey showed up and they started rolling the cameras, because I don't know, but they just came across as drunk to me. They were a little too slurry, a little too like eyes, a little, I don't know. Did anyone else get that vibe? Like those two were a little bit tipsy, because that's the vibe that I got. So then, Darcey talks about how, yeah, she was wrong and how she should have left Georgie sooner and all the things. And one of the things that I noticed is that Darcey does this like single dance, and Darcey cannot dance. Darcey has no rhythm. No rhythm. I don't know what she was doing, you guys, but she was doing this thing and like shaking her head and twisting her hair. It was a whole weird thing. And I was like, oh, Darcey can't dance. Hey, Linda. Hey, girl. Hey. Linda says they always seem drunk to me. And Joslo said probably stoned, it seemed. I don't know. They were sucking down those drinks real quick, Joslo. Anyway, so Darcey also tells Rena and Debbie about the tension between her and Stacey and how they're still kind of fighting. They try to make up, but there's still like that weird energy between them. And they're like, really? I can't believe you guys are fighting. Like, what is that? And the other thing that I thought was interesting is that, because it's leading up to Darcey's dating, right? So Darcey talks a little bit about Georgie, but you guys threw all the shade to Jesse. All the shade. I've noticed that they didn't mention Tom, but her friends asked basically, about the package. And Darcey basically was like silent when asked about Jesse's package, but then said that Georgie had a big package, which I thought was interesting, because that's probably why you kept him around so long. Because what else was he bringing to the table? But meanwhile, Jesse, and we all know Jesse, and I neither here nor there with Jesse. I like the telenovelas he brings to the table, but I do see how people get rubbed the wrong way by him. But he has a lot of confidence for someone who, you know, has small boxes. I just made that up and it's cracking me up. Anyways, anyhow, it's the next day and it's prom day for Aniko. She's gonna get her hair done and she's going to prom with one of her best friends, which I think is interesting because I don't think that Darcey understands the concept of best friends. Like, male and a female can be friends and nothing else going on. Because she kept saying, "Well, does he like you? Do you like him? Is there something going on? Is there and Annika's like, "No, we're just friends. Like, you have to be able to get that into your mind because maybe Darcey, is of the thought that men and women can't be friends." Linda said the men with the least always act like they have the most. That part. You are not wrong. I always say they don't have to tell you if they're working with something. They don't have to tell you because they already know. Those that have to, like, what's the saying? Because you guys, I suck at saying thou, that protest too much. That part. So one of the things I thought was interesting about Aniko is that she asked her best friend to go to prom with her because she felt it was less pressure, which I think is interesting because you think about like when you went to prom and like waiting for someone to ask you and all the things, but she just like took it into her own hands and she's like, you know what, I don't want that pressure of like going to prom with someone maybe that I like or I don't like or that I'm interested in or whatever. I just want to have a good time, she said, and be with my friends. And so she asked her best friend, and I think, you know what, in hindsight, that would have been a great idea. Just go with your besties and have a great time. I still had a great prom, by the way. Woo! Stories. Those stories I will take to my grave. Meanwhile, all her friends are coming over for prom. So she's getting ready for prom. And I did take a picture. It's a little bit blurry, but I thought her dress was very like age appropriate, classy. I think she looked stunning in it. And so she's getting ready for prom with her friend and her sister. And all of her other friends are coming over for pictures and they're bringing their families as well. And, nothing has changed for prom. Like, you still do all the same things, So she took all the pictures with her friends and their dates, and they all got ready. And, you do all the things that you do before prom. You get the corsage and the boutonniere, you get all dressed up and, you go off to have a big party because you made it through high school. So that's what they did. One of the things that she was worried about is that her friend was running late. And so she wasn't sure if she was going to be able to make it to their next destination. And so she's hanging out with her mom and Stacey, and they're like just being, I don't want to say obnoxious, but they're just doing the most, which, Aniko has talked about in the past, like how she doesn't want her mom to embarrass her. But like, so she has a little bit of a train at the end of her dress. So Darcey and Stacey decide that they're going to carry it around like it's like a bridal dress. And Aniko says, "Can you just stop?" And then Darcey and Stacey talk about their grad. So they graduated in 1992, and they went to prom together. And so they were a twin date. And at the time, Mike, their dad, was dating some woman who had a son. And that's who they went to prom with. So here's a throwback photo of Darcey and Stacey. And see, what's interesting is nowadays, I can tell the difference between Darcey and Stacey. I can't tell the difference in their younger years, like who was who, which is very interesting to me. But if I had to guess, I would say that Stacey was on the right and Darcey was on the left. That's if I had to guess in this photo. So they're talking about their time in prom, and don't forget they were bullied and all the things and all the things. And meanwhile, we're waiting for Aniko's best friend and date Christian to show up. He finally shows up in the nick of time. And she's happy about it. She's like, I knew he would make it here as soon as he could. And so that was her date. Her date brings flowers for both Aniko and Darcey. And Darcey had her little moment there. She was super excited about it. And then Darcey also says that this moment is a little bit bittersweet for her because she realizes that Aniko will be off to college soon and living her own life. And I thought that was interesting, you guys. And here's why I think it's interesting, because the girls, Aniko and Aspen, they live with grandpa. They live with the dad. So like I get it, but you don't even live with, they don't live with you. You're not the primary caregiver. So like, what exactly is bittersweet? You could just go and see them wherever they are. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's changed for her? Because it's not like they're moving out of her house because she doesn't live with them. Anyways, I just thought that was weird. And then the other thing that I thought was weird, which shows how long ago they filmed this, you guys, because just FYI, don't you guys remember that Mike was selling the house like 2 seasons ago? So like we're in season 4 and they're still filming in the same house that he allegedly sold. Do you guys remember even last season he was packing it up? Did I make that up? Because I know that I even reported on it. And I know that they bought a new house and that the new house is like supposed to be gorgeous. So like I'm confused. Anyways, I'm not really confused. I'm just wondering if you guys noticed that they were filming in the same house that they had allegedly sold long ago. So either they filmed this way back when, which they did, because I'm thinking of it now, because Aniko's in university right now, college, whatever. Okay, so I think I answered my own question. Anyways, they go back to Miami. Darcey and Stacey have a meeting with Johnny Mac, who runs that Impossible Kicks. And, they're really talking about their House of 11. It's really important to them, their company. They've put all their blood, sweat, and tears into House of 11. They really want to make House of 11 a global name. And so they are on their way. And when I tell you guys, wait, I hope I have battery left. When I say that they sang their song, their song they have, the superstar status, doing it big. We're doing it big. We're superstar status. The song at the beginning of the show? That's Darcey and Stacey rapping. Doing it big. Superstar status, we're doing it big. We're Darcey and Stacey and Darcey and Stacey. Doing it big. That really sounds more LL Cool J than Darcey and Stacey, but you guys get the point. We're superstar status, doing it big.
Thanks for using.
So they're rapping on their way to meet Johnny Mac. Oh, it's my favorite, Linda. The microphone is my favorite. Hi, Shelly. Hey, girl. Hey. So they get to Impossible Kicks and they get to their meeting. And as you guys remember from last episode, they decided, and by they I mean Darcey, because it really is Darcey's fault. Darcey decided that they were going to just show their classics, so the basic blacks and their nudes, and they're calling their line "Sporty Couture." And he's not impressed. He's like, I'm confused. I thought you guys said this was going to be Miami inspired. He's like, but this feels very Connecticut. This won't sell in my store. It's too plain. It's too basic. It looks regurgitated stuff from the past. And I felt for them because he wasn't holding anything back. But also, too, if you saw what they were showing him as samples, Guys, it was really nothing. It was really nothing. I want to see if I can even pull up some. Okay, so let's look at, they called it what? They called it Sporty Couture. So maybe it's gonna be this. Well, no, their loungewear looks not bad. Okay. Ah. Okay, so I pulled up their website. Let me go like this and this and this. Share this, share this. Let's go to here. Ah! Linda says Target sweatshirts. Yeah, so this is some of their stuff, right? So it was very much like this one, the lavender vintage wash. This is actually one of the ones that they showed later with the wing hoodie. You guys, that's $145. Stop it. And then these sweats are one of the sweats we see later on. But it wasn't part of the first round. So what I'm showing you is what they decided that they were going to go with on the second round after he turned them down. This is another one, the white embroidered wing hoodie, House of 11. It's $145. You guys see this cozy lounge. It's like kind of like my pom-pom material on my toque. So this one here that you see, it's like a plain House of 11 sweatshirt. That's kind of like what they showed. And this is $60. So same type of colors, the whites, the browns, the tans. He was not impressed. He's like, that is definitely not Miami wear. I can't do anything with that. So like, why would you even come here with this? So they got all hurt. He's like, I need you guys to do something that's more streetwear culture. You guys have to be, more in tune with what the young people are buying, what's selling, what's trendy, right? And that's streetwear. That's like all the hot neon colors. It's like the asymmetrical. It's like all the stuff that they weren't doing, you guys, right? So, let me do this. Let me do this, and this, and this. So they missed the boat 100%. 100% they missed the boat. So they are going to have to go to LA and talk to their business partners and fix it, right? And so they're going to have one last chance to source a new collection. So off to Los Angeles, they're going to their headquarters. Meanwhile, Stacey and Florian are off to see Danielle, who is the wedding planner that Stacey hired. And y'all, don't forget last week, Florian is like, oh, we can get married in this public park. Oh, we can get married at this public pier, right? Because he ain't got no job and he ain't got no money. And so Stacey is taking it upon herself to hire a wedding planner. And she literally says, this is the first time we're looking at a real venue since we went to the park. And I died of laughter. So they're off to the Curtis Mansion, and Danielle says it's perfect for small, intimate weddings. And one of the things that she talks about is this. After your wedding, you can have a brick to commemorate your wedding. So like these people, Mr. and Mrs. Santana, and then the date, and I do. And Florian's like, no, I don't want that. I don't want anyone stepping on me. Florian, you guys, brings the comedy that Florian brings. And I don't even know if he realizes how funny he is, you guys, but he is so funny. He's like, I don't want anyone stepping on me, so we're not doing that. Hilarious. Stacey loves the venue. She says it's good energy. Florian likes it, but he wants to see more options. And why do you think he wants to see more options, you guys? Oh, because they find out how much his wedding is going to cost. So if they book 100 people, which is considered like a smaller wedding, $70,000 just for the venue. 70,000. And if they want like 150 people, then it goes up to 90,000. And Florian's like, you could buy a small house with that money. And he's not wrong. Like, that would be a huge down payment. I think you can even buy like houses in Texas for like 200,000. So like, what? I don't think I could. I mean, don't get me wrong. I want to get married. I want to find my happily ever after, all the stuff. But like, a big, expensive venue is not really that important to me. Like, I rather own a home. I don't know. What do you guys think? How much? Those of you who are married, did you spend a lot of money on your wedding? If so, was it the wedding of your dreams? Talk to me, because I clearly don't know. It does seem like a lot of money. And then Danielle asked about the wedding party, and Florian can't hide the fact any longer that he asked Georgie to be his best man. And he didn't tell Stacey up until that moment. She freaks out. She's super pissed. She's like, "You're putting me in the middle of things." And Florian's like, "I'm not putting you in the middle of anything. You chose your bridesmaids and your maid of honor, and I get to choose who I want to be my best man because it's my wedding too. So like, what are you even talking about?" And she's just pissed. She's like, she can't hear him. She's like, "You picked the wrong time and place to tell me this. I can't believe that you want to do this. Georgie's just going to bring the drama," she says. And Florian says, "It's my wedding. I pick my best man, and that's that." So it leaves that at a cliff note, and we move on to season 4, episode 5. Darcey's at a dating event, and she goes to meet her matchmaker. And listen, you guys, listen. Shelly said, "You're so funny. I love how you crack yourself up." I laugh with you. I do crack myself up, Shelly. I really do. I really, really do. So I'm glad you're laughing with me and not at me. So let me see if I can find this photo. So Darcey and Michelle, let me tell you something. Michelle needs to have like some type of spin-off, some type of something, because Darcey has met her match with Michelle. Michelle just calls Darcey out for who she is, and she doesn't leave anything out. Not a thing, you guys. She is not messing around with Darcey. She's not like stroking Darcey's ego. She is saying what she means, and she means what she says. So it starts off here. Okay. So Michelle shows up, and Darcey's in this dress that's like, has like a train and lace and boobage and all the things. And Michelle's like, "You know what? First impressions matter. And I asked you to find something that was sleek and elegant. And what do we have going on here?" She says, "It's going to be a no for me." It's a no for me, dog. It's a no for me. And then she says, "What would you expect? Like, what do you think if I am introducing you to men or telling men about you, and I say that, you were sleek and elegant, and then they're just looking at you and they're like, she looks like a hoe." And Darcey's face, you guys, when she's like, she looks like a hoe, Darcey's like, "I am not a hoe. I am high class, and I don't." And she went off. Darcey is like, her feelings are all hurt. And she's like, "I don't know what she thinks about this outfit that makes it look like a hoe, but this is designer." So then Darcey changes. Okay, into this little white number. Okay. She changes in the white outfit, and then Michelle's like, "Is there any way we can cover up a little bit? Like, you're always showing your tatas, and like, do all of your outfits show cleavage?" She's like, "This is going to be a no for me." Now, you guys, listen. Look at this outfit. Can I make it a little bit bigger? Okay, look at this outfit. It's a clear, like, the outfit is cute. Don't get me wrong. Like, I would sport that outfit if I was going to a club or something. You know what I mean? But listen, it's white. It's like it has that slit in the front by the tatas, as a slit in by her waist. Okay, so everyone has a good look at it, right? So Darcey goes back to her bedroom, you guys, and comes back out. And when I say, and I'm about to laugh right now, Michelle's face was like, yeah, this is not going to work either. You want to know why, Darcey? Because it's the same dress, but in black. You guys, Darcey came out with the same exact dress, but only in black. Like, what part did you did you not understand? Oh, she doesn't like the white one. Let me just put the black one on. She won't notice that it's the exact same dress, but just different color. So then Darcey says that she doesn't have any other clothes, which we all know is a total lie, right? Because she does all these fashion shows. She owns a frigging clothing line. Tell me you don't have more outfits. So you just want to wear what you want to wear, and you want to have your tatas out. Like, let's just be real. So she's like, I don't really have anything else. Michelle's like, okay. She's like, but I'll remember that for next time, like when I'm shopping, to find something that's a little bit more conservative. So how did they fix it, you guys? They put a Chanel brooch in the middle of her dress. Darcey pulls up the side a little bit and then puts on a jacket. And all of a sudden, it's supposed to be a different outfit. I died of laughter, you guys. Linda says the white one looked better because of the cut of the armholes. I didn't pay attention because I was like, oh, it's just the same dress. But here we are. So, oh my God, you guys, my eyes are running because I'm still laughing. My nose is running because I'm still laughing. This was the funniest scene, you guys. If you haven't seen the episode, you just watch this scene because it was so outrageous. Darcey is outrageous. She doesn't want anyone to tell her anything about anything. She doesn't want anyone. She wants to dress the way she wants to dress, which she can because she's a grown-ass woman, but she doesn't take criticism very well. And even if it's what's the word? Constructive criticism, she does not take it very well. Okay, so we go over to Stacey's and Florian, and she wants to talk to Florian about Georgie because she thinks that there's going to be drama created if Georgie is the best man, right? So she wants to know, since when have you and Georgie been close? And Florian talks, and this was a sad part to you guys. So Florian talks about how, he doesn't have any friends in Miami. So he got close to Georgie because that was the only person he was able to talk to all the time on the phone. He also talked about the immigrant experience, which is true. Even coming here, it's harder to make friends as adults than it is when you grow up with people. And I think that the cliques form, especially in America, like everyone knows everyone because you went to the same high school and perhaps the same university, and then you guys all work together, and then you guys have like the frats and the sororities. Is that how I say it? Whatever, what I'm talking about. Sororities. That's how you say it. And so it's hard to come in as like immigrant and like penetrate that because you guys have all established, your lifelong relationship. So I totally get what he was saying with that. With immigrants, like they understand each other, and you're in a foreign country and you kind of bond over that because you guys have all bonded over the years. And then the other thing he talks about is that he's close to Georgie because he's also sad that his family's not there and they're not going to be able to fly to Miami for whatever reason to be at the wedding, right? So he doesn't have anyone close like Georgie, and so Georgie has become his family, his friend that has become his family member. And then also too, he says he's had a hard year, and he's had a hard year because he left Connecticut The only home that he's known outside of Albania. And he also lost his sister. Her sister passed away 6 months ago from cancer. And it was just really sad. She was 37. She had 2 kids, and she had always been there for Georgie, and he's still grieving, right? He's still grieving over losing his sister. And so he's just like, you know what? I need Georgie to be here because Georgie is my support system. And Stacey's like, I get it. She's like, I just want you to be happy. And I understand that you've had a hard year. And so if this is what's going to make you happy, then I'm okay with it. Which I thought was really good of her to say, right? Because your husband is telling you how terrible things are for him and how he doesn't have friends and he's had a hard year and this is what's going to make him happy, and you go with it. That's what you should do, because that's your partner and that's your partner for life, right? So the only thing is, everyone's worried about Darcey. She's worried about telling Darcey because Darcey's going to freak out. And we already know that Darcey's going to freak out because Darcey makes everything about her and not about anyone else, because she's the center of her own universe. And so it is going to be an issue, and we find out that it was an issue. So we go over to Darcey's dating event, and she's feeling insecure because of all the things that Michelle said to her about her outfit and not dressing her age and all the things. But she's going to go in and try her best. So she gets there, Michelle's there. Michelle tells her, okay, so this is what's going to happen. You're going to have like a mini date. You're going to do an activity together, and then you're going to rate each other. And if you guys rate each other both the same, then you'll continue on with your date. Darcey's like, oh my God, I haven't been graded since I was in high school or whatever, university. I want to make sure that I get an A+. Now, I don't think I took a photo of Cicero. Did I take a photo of Cicero? Oh, I didn't. Okay, Cicero, you guys. Totally. And she even says, okay, so Cicero is her date. They're going to do an activity date. First impression, she says that she can tell that he's her age. And I thought that was a really interesting statement, because Darcey doesn't like to date anyone her age, because I feel like she doesn't accept her age. Do you know what I mean? And so that's why she like dresses younger and also dates younger. She dates men that are young so that she feels young. If that makes any sense to any of you. It makes sense to me. Like, she finds her identity by being in a couple. And if she can be in a couple with a younger man, that means she's still got it. And if she still got it, then that makes her self-worth go up. So that whole thing. So when she said that she can tell that Cicero is her age and Darcey never dates men her age, it says a lot about who Darcey is, I think. But then she goes on to say that he's put together, he's classy, he has nice energy. And their activity was to make a cocktail called Mo Love. And what was funny about this is that he was doing all the work and Darcey was just dictating the instructions. And he noticed, he's like, you're not helping me at all. And she's like, oh, I'm going to help. I'm going to muddle. I'm going to show you how I can muddle the mint. I'm the best muddler. And she's like, I have to take my jacket off for this. I hope you don't mind. As if she's going to put in some work, y'all. Takes her jacket off and she does this, like, I think she thought she was being sexy by the way she was like muddling. She's like putting all her back into it, you know? She's like muddling her face up, but then she's also looking at him and trying to give him goo goo gaga eyes. And I was like, Darcey, like, you look crazy. You look crazy and you're kind of acting crazy right now too. And this is not sexy. So they make the drinks, they drink them. They do a little small talk. We find out that he was born in Brazil, raised in Portugal. He's in real estate. He too has 2 daughters, a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old. And what I thought was like the perfect thing for Darcey, he said to her, Cicero said to Darcey, "Do you believe in energy?" I was like, oh, Michelle is on it. Michelle is on it. Darcey absolutely believes in energy. So Michelle comes over, they rate each other, and Cicero goes over to the bar, and we find out that he thinks Darcey is lovely, he thinks Darcey is beautiful, and he wants to continue to get to know her. So Darcey, on the other hand, says that Cicero is not her, quote, typical guy, but she likes his other qualities. And I was like, Darcey, let's look at your track record. Your track record is no bueno. So, like, yeah, maybe you should start looking at his other qualities, and maybe you need to, because I do think that age is just a number, but I think for Darcey, she needs someone age appropriate because she tends to just be a caregiver, and so she ends up taking care of all her dudes. And I think that Darcey needs someone that is more her equal, that can also take care of her as well. So she gets to the bar, and he's already checked her Instagram, and that was like a funny little back and forth because she addresses the fact that, yeah, all of her photos are filtered. She's like, yeah, there's a little bit of filtering. A little bit. Michelle, the matchmaker, has talked to you about your filtering issue. Social media has talked to you about your filtering issue. Your fans have said, it's like, ease up on the filtering issue. Even your own daughters have talked about the filtering issue. Like, you do some heavy filtering, Darcey, and everyone's like, enough is enough. Like, because we see you on TV and in real life. So, like, what's the point of all the crazy filters? Like, let's take a peek. I think I still have some photos. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So, you know, this and this and this and this. Like, Darcey, we see you. Do you understand? We see you. Like, we see you. And all of that is unnecessary. Because you know what? When we see you right here, like this, it's like, who are you fooling? They're going to see you in real life anyway. So, like, what? And I get maybe you're trying to do like glamorous shots or something. I don't know. But at some point, you have to be real with yourself as well, right? So, he still likes her. He asks her on a second date, and she accepts. And then they go their separate ways. It's the next day, and Stacey and Florian are going cake testing or tasting, whatever. And they invite Darcey to come with them, which I think is interesting because I don't know. You already know that Darcey kind of like sucks the energy out of you two. You already know that she's going through some things with her whole wedding situation. It's triggering to her because, you know, it's supposed to be a twin wedding and all this stuff. I get that you want to include her because she is your maid of honor, but I also think too that you know that she's going to be problematic because it's going to trigger her because she's not over it. She can't handle being single, and so watching you guys be happy is a little hard for her, right? So I don't know. Anyways, they invite her along. They have this little play on cake because she's like, you know, Stacey's like, oh, maybe we'll do the red velvet cake, and Florian's like, all the cake I need is you, and I was like, oh Lord, here we go. So they get there. They're trying out a vanilla rum, Marlboro, a chocolate, and an Oreo taster. And I was like, I don't know. What kind of cakes did you guys like for those of you guys that are married? What kind of cakes did you have? Because I don't know if any of those sound appetizing. I would not want a chocolate cake. I definitely would not want an Oreo cake. Marlboro, I mean, vanilla rum, I don't know. I would just want plain vanilla, I think. None of this, like who wants an Oreo cake? Are we 8? Anyways, they're cake tasting, and Danielle, the wedding planner, is there. And one of the things I did like about Danielle is that she asked, you know, what are some of the Albanian traditions that maybe we can include in the wedding? And he talks about the money dance. where they dance and like the bride and groom dance and people throw money towards them, which I think is awesome. In Guinean tradition, we have something very similar that we do at weddings and at funerals. So then they choose a cake, and Darcey says, she would have chosen the same cake. And then Florian puts in his first little dig. He's like, well, before you choose a cake, you need to find a husband. That's the problem. Ooh, okay, spicy Florian. Go ahead. Go ahead. Put that dig in, because you know what? You know that Darcey's about to go off, right? Because Darcey's high strung. So any little thing you say to Darcey that she doesn't like, she's going to go off. And guess what? That's exactly what happened. So Diana says in Colombia, it's usually a wine-infused cake, traditional for weddings. Leave the exotic flavors and designs for birthday. I like that. Thanks, Diana, for sharing. So Florian's like, how much is a cake? And again, I didn't realize that wedding cakes could be so expensive. They start at 3,000. Danielle says 3 to 4,000, but they can go up from there to like 10,000. So between 3 and 10,000, $10,000 for a cake. Is it made with gold? $10,000? How big is this cake, and how many people is it feeding? I would have a ton of questions, you guys. I clearly don't know what present day wedding costs are. I don't even know what wedding costs are. Let's not even present day, just in general. Because 10,000 for a cake. You better see me up in my kitchen baking my face off. So Darcey gets her jab in and says, well, Stacey wants a nice wedding, and weddings are expensive. They cost money. So you need to go get a job. And then she's not only says, you need to go get a job. Do I need to kick in a little bit of money to help you out for this wedding? Which totally sets Florian off. He's like, I'm not asking you for money. This is not your wedding. This is not a twin wedding. It's me and Stacey's wedding, he says. And Darcey gets pissed off. She gets pissed off because, now he took another dig at her after she took a dig at him, but he took a dig at her first. So she's like, I'm done. Because, that's what she always is. So she gets up and she leaves. And now Stacey's upset because first Darcey and Stacey are fighting. Now Darcey and Florian are fighting. We haven't seen Darcey and Florian fight before, right? He's always been on her side. But I think they're both getting under each other's skin because Darcey has an issue about being single, right? And that's her trigger points. And Florian has an issue about being unemployed and not wanting to work. So that's a trigger for him. Because he's had his green card for how long now? And he's making all the excuses, and everyone keeps telling him he needs to go get a job, and he doesn't want to get a job. And finally, when he goes to get a job, he goes to get a modeling job, and he's shitty at modeling, but that's the career that he said, you know what, you guys, a hot mess. It's a mess. Florian needs to get a job. It's unacceptable, Darcey says. That's it. And now Darcey and Florian are fighting. So guess what? Florian decides that he's going to try to get a job at the CGM modeling agency so that they can represent him and send him out on model gigs. And he says, he's like, Darcey tried to hurt my feelings about not working. So I'm off to get a model job to help pay for the wedding and make my wife happy. Well, you should want to get a job because like, what? Not just to pay for your wedding and to make your wife happy. It should make you happy. You waited all these years to get your green card so that you can work. And now you just don't want to work. But I think he got comfortable for not working for the last, 5 years? No, they've been together for 7 years, but 5 years. So he's used to not working. Now he just wants to be a man of leisure and have Stacey pay for everything and call it a day. And, all the times that we were calling out Georgie because Darcey was paying for everything, it was the same thing Florian was doing. But we all gave him a pass, I guess, because he was married to Stacey. I don't know if that makes it worse or better. I just think it makes it the same. This fool does not want to work, y'all. Period. He does not want to work. So he shows up at the agency, you guys, with no portfolio, no pictures. He has a couple of pictures on his phone, and that was his first downfall because, it's your first impressions. And what were you doing all of those times that you and Stacey had all of those countless photo shoots? Do you guys remember all the photo shoots they were having? And Stacey was like, yeah, we're preparing him for when he does get his green card, then he can go off and running and make all the money as a model. And so where's that? Where's all that stuff? Where's that guy? So he comes in with 2 photos, and this is one of them that was on his phone, which, it's a good photo. And then this is the second one that he comes up with, that he shows on his phone. And the agency ladies are like, does your body still look like this? Do you work out? And he's like, I kind of work out. And she's like, well, in Miami, you have to have the best body because everyone has a good body and everyone's worked out in Miami. And I noticed that his energy was off. He's just looking at him because I think that he doesn't want to work. And even though he said he wants to be a model, he doesn't want to even put in the work to be a model anymore. He just wants to, guys, I'm trying to tell you, he just wants to live the life of leisure. He wants to kick it. So the agency's like, you know what? You always need to be prepared. You always have to have your pictures, have your portfolio. You have to work out. You have to eat well. No tattoos because it's hard for them to brush it out or whatever. And the fact that you don't have any professional photos looks bad on you. You really have to show up with your iPad and your pictures and make sure you know what you're doing, because this is not a good look. And so then they ask him, can we see your body real quick? And so he takes off his shirt, and one of the ladies like, oh, you need a tan too. And that sets him off, right? Because so now they've told him all the things that are wrong with him. And his whole face and demeanor just went like, yuck. He turned into defensive mode, and says, this is not going well. His words, oh, you need more tan. You're very white. I just move and come here. And then he uses the Lord's name in vain. Then he says, what the F are you expecting? Come to a point like you're going to F and hire me, or no, yes or no, 2 options. And that's it. He was pissed, right? He's like, either you're going to give me a job or you're not going to give me a job. But he doesn't want to have, he too, like Darcey, doesn't want to have any constructive feedback. So they take some digitals of him, and he's like super stiff, and she calls him out on it. She's like, you're super stiff. Like, just move around, keep moving, get loose, feel comfortable, smile, have a big smile. And that didn't work out for him at all. And they literally say to camera that they don't think he's going to book. They don't think he's going to go out. They don't think that he's going to make money as a model. They don't think that he has the ability or the skills, y'all. And they said that he'll get turned away. If they ever sent him out, they would just turn him away. They went on to say that he doesn't move like a model is supposed to move. And so when they were doing all of those are the cons right off the bat, you guys. So they say the pros is that he has nice eyes and nice teeth, which is interesting because he literally just got his teeth fixed. If you guys remember, he had terrible teeth before. And he's tall. So that's the other thing that's a good thing. Weaknesses, they say he has no personality. He's stiff. He doesn't pop and doesn't present well. Wow, that's a lot of nays. So I think they kind of just burst his bubble a little bit. And he walked out with nothing and said that was terrible. And he was all crushed and it was a mess. Then we go to LA. We're on the way to the LA office because, again, the samples that Darcey and Stacey need for their new line. So they get to LA and they got to do these joggers and hoodies. And I already showed you guys the ones with the wings. That's the second round. And I don't know what you guys think about them. They're all right. I don't know if it's $145 worth of all right though. So they get to their own offices and they don't remember the code to their own office. So they're knocking and all the things. And it was really weird. It's like, obviously, you guys haven't been there in a while, which they said they haven't been there in a year since COVID. But you would think that they would at least remember the code to their own office. So they show some of their stuff. Excuse me one sec. I'm back. So not only are Darcey and Stacey having like clothing, they have a bunch of other stuff, right? So what I didn't know is they're selling scents, they're selling candles, they're selling makeup. They had like a whole lifestyle brand. And so we look at this basic hoodie that they've created, vintage wash with the angel wings, the ones that I showed you guys earlier, and still no color. So everything that the guy had asked them for, they still haven't done. They have basic black, basic white, basic tan, no colors, no pop. It's definitely not streetwear. It's like, I don't know, you guys. I don't know who's coming up with their ideas, but they need to literally either go to the high schools, go to the universities, and just look at what the kids are wearing and then find out what streetwear is. Because whatever you guys thinking it is, it's not that. It's not that. Like the angel wings and like the acid wash, I don't know, it just seems very dated and very like who's doing that? I think that I don't know. I think it was like early 2000 when the trucker hats were in. That's when all the angel stuff was in. Like it's 2023 and I get that things recycle and come back and stuff, but I don't think that's come back quite yet. But I mean, I don't know. Actually, I do know. I'm just being nice. Okay. So they asked their partners, their co-designers, do you think that we can be up and running with what we need in a week? Because they need the pops of color and they don't have the pops of color and they're going to try. And so in the meantime, they're going to meet up with Michael, their friend in LA. And here's okay, this is what made me laugh, you guys. Let me find it. Oh God, I hope I took a picture of it because it was so. Remember the dress yeah, I sure did. Okay, so let me do this first. So just in case you guys are coming in late, this is a sample of what they came up with for the second time round for Impossible Kicks, how they're going to have a street couture line. It's just like a hoodie with wings in the back, black, white, and tan. I don't think it's anything. And I don't think it's what this guy's going to be looking for. I think he's going to be unimpressed because it's not original and it does seem very dated. Okay. Now, remember the dress that Darcey wore for her first date? This is what made me laugh. Like, I'm trying to find out if they did this on purpose or, everything that Darcey buys, Stacey buys, I don't know. And even if that's the case, because they're twins, like one wears it on one day and the other person wears it the very next day, I think that's stupid. So that same dress Stacey was wearing. So this is Stacey, not Darcey, in the same dress the very next day after Darcey wore that dress on her date. So they meet up with Michael in LA. She's wearing the same dress that Darcey wore. And it's also Florian's birthday. They're all at the bar. Florian, is still mad at Michael because Michael told him he needed to get a job. So he's being quiet because of the comments that Michael made to him. And he's like, him and Michael will never be friends. And so Michael's like, hey, what have you been doing since you've been here? And they went to Disneyland. He met Mickey Mouse. And then Michael asked Stacey, how's the wedding planning going? All the stuff. And Stacey's like, yeah, Darcey's going to be my maid of honor. And then Florian lets it slip out that Georgie's going to be the best man, and Darcey freaks out. Darcey freaks all the way out. She's like, I can't believe you're doing this. I would never do this to my sister. It's going to make us both feel uncomfortable. It's not a twin wedding anymore. I'm disturbed by this. I'm disgusted by this. It's not right. It's not cool. They should have my back, and they shouldn't even be worried about Georgie, and Georgie brings drama. And Florian just doubles down. He's like, you know what? My best man is going to be Georgie. And it's my wedding. I can do what I want. And I can do when I want because it's also my wedding. And Georgie's my best friend. And so I'm sticking with that. And then Stacey's like, sounds to me like you got a little bit of liquid courage. And then Florian freaks out. He's like, I'm not an effing drunkie. It's not liquid courage. Never been in my life an effing drunkie. And then Stacey is like, well, what is it then? Because I don't even know who you are right now. Darcey starts yelling at Stacey, saying, why is everything about Georgie? I would never do this to you. I would never do this to my sister. And now everyone's in conflict because, again, everything is about Darcey. Darcey makes everything about her because she's the center of the world. Listen, Darcey, it's not your wedding. So they can have whoever they want in the wedding. If anything, just say that you don't want to be the maid of honor anymore. I mean, it's their wedding. They should be able to do what they want. It's not your wedding, Darcey. Why do they need to dictate what they can and cannot do and who they can and cannot invite or include in their wedding when it's not your wedding? You're the twin sister. I get it, but you're the sister and it's not your wedding. Diana says, I feel bad for Florian because it's his best friend, but also for Darcey. What an uncomfortable situation. Diana, I don't feel bad for Darcey. It's not her wedding. You know what I mean? Like, maybe that's cold, but I just think about it if it's your wedding and your sister and your sister's ex. Like, yeah, it's uncomfortable, but everyone's going to have to suck it up and be adults about it because it's not your wedding. Anyhow, that was the two shows. We're totally caught up on Darcey and Stacey. Definitely make sure why can't I speak right now? I'm trying to say that I would like you to make sure that you tell me what you thought of these two episodes. If you're watching the replay, hit up the comment section and I'll hit you back. Live chat. Love y'all. Shelly says we'll probably see those clothes on Temu for $12.99 in a few months. I don't know what Temu is, but $12.99 sounds about right. I am catching us up on MILF Manor tomorrow. You guys, yes, I'm still covering MILF Manor because I don't know what's going on over there. As well as I'm catching up on, well, we're not even behind, but I'm doing episode 10 of David and Annie after the 90 days. So I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here. I love you guys all. So glad that the channel is back. And I just love you guys in the live chat. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Bye for now.